This is KARL-JAMES Langford on one of my trespasses. This is a search to find the wonderful site of DINAS POWIS Castle. This here is in fact elite, otherwise known as the mill race DINAS POWIS, in this wonderful valley beyond that contains the Cadw River that causes a great deal of flooding for DINAS POWIS. And this landscape at one point was completely flooded underwater as far back as the period of late Rome in the 400s. That would have been inundated with water in the winter and would have been navigable all the way from the coast inland to the site known as Cadw, which is further up the valley, which is not the subject of this recording today. We're at the other hillock this time to look at DINAS POWIS. So let's see what we can actually find today. And this is me doing my first GoPro in ages. So anyway, let's have a little look. Seek and search funded by Bravo and VGS. And if we look along here again, so it's quite steep, so we come all the way up the top. There's lots of ransom, lots of wild garlic on the floor, indication of great disturbance, and most of these trees that we're actually coming across today are actually have been planted or grown over the past 40-50 years. There's very few old trees in this part of woodland, but the site itself is a bit quiet these days, and there's usually a bit of barbed wire when I came through, but there's no barbed wire there today. So we sort of go up here. Oh, smell of old garlic. And next we can go right, which is steep, or you can see sort of something in the distance. So if we sort of wander up here now, sort of go up this route, and don't ever come up here by yourself, and come up here with a walking stick or something similar. Sort of a bit of a route way up here where the ransoms have been beaten down. And now we sort of go up and look at that wall, 10 metre tall wall. Now this is a native build castle. I want to say that most of what we do find around here is actually native build. There's talk of this being captured from whom? That's the point. So this already existed. This is all native build. Very little architecture is of Norman build at all. And it's one of those long lost castles. One reason why we're setting up Adva Hanes Cymru is to try and make these castles very relevant. Look how tall these walls are, 10 metres tall. And the stone that you can actually see around you is actually carboniferous limestone. And you've got these holes all the way through the walls. These are actually scaffolding for putt logs that go all the way through the 1.5 metre walls. Based on carboniferous limestone taken for 3.5 million years ago. There's actually some of the Triassic as well. Triassic sandstone here as well, used in the construction of this castle. Now this itself, I said there's very little in the way of Norman evidence here, all native built. This is probably the only bit of Norman architecture here after it was captured by the Normans after the 1100s. It's probably held by Iestyn ap Gwilym, definitely a Welsh prince, and constructed by around 1050. Look at these walls, they are so impressive. Shame on Cadw for doing nothing about this, but mind you, it's not a Norman built castle. That's why Cadw are not interested in this. I implore anyone to get up here and have a look at this site. It's not exactly the safest site, but this is absolutely amazing. So this has to be on the target list of anyone wanting to preserve a native build site. This is got to be one of the most impressive sites anywhere in Wales of that date. So you can see that there would have been a jam going through here, returning over there. Well, that's really interesting because that might indicate that even though the architecture is probably Norman. Give the credit to those murderous bastards. It could actually be native build, but those invaders of our wonderful land taking away everything and claiming everything as well. Let's not mention that filth anymore. And so if we go down here, we can actually see the wonderful walls, and we can see through there light. These are putt logs, 1.5 meter thick walls. As we actually come through here, beautiful architecture. Now, interesting enough, there's lots of snaggy bits on the floor you can catch yourself in. There was a manpower services scheme here, and Duke of Edinburgh scheme in the 1980s. Cleared all this inside here. This was going to be a place for the community. Used to belong to the local history society. They sold it to a developer for 25 grand not so many years ago. Now, it's been said that these windows are actually of Norman build. There's only 2 windows in this whole place still standing. Now, Royal Commission on Ancient Historical Monuments say it's Norman, definitely. But then again, where's the proof it's Norman? Every bit of architecture around you tells me that it's native build. So you can see a little bit of sort of dressed stone there, different type of dressed stone. You see little bits around the site as well. So as you sort of move on, what gives this a native build? Completely native build. I did mention to a party earlier on today with Archaeology Cymru. Again, the only 2 sort of indications of windows here. Party from Archaeology Cymru earlier on today was that there's no evidence really being found of buildings inside here. This site may go all the way back, very similar to the evidence that we find at DINAS POWIS, but not really been excavated. There's the old cock, didn't really get his hand here in the 1950s. It was a bit of a shame. What gives it away is completely native build, more or less all of it. Is actually this entranceway here. So we're actually going through. Entranceway is completely blocked up now with lots of crap. And what you can see is a door jamb, which is here. Can you see that hole there? Over in there, a bit of a jaw jamb going through the length of the wall. The doors would have opened inwards so that they could be bolted quite easily by the door jamb. And the reason why this gives it a native build, is that if you look up, you can see that there's no towers to create a gateway. This is the gateway. This is all it is. Just a wall on the left, a wall on the right, looking southwards to the accessible side. The north side is not accessible. It's really steep. East and west is really steep as well. And if you look here, it's a flush wall either side. No barbican, no towers, no nothing. And there would have been a walkway above as well, probably a wooden walkway. And that was the entranceway. That makes it a native build castle. And shame on Cadw. That should be Cadw should be dissolved and replaced with an organisation that actually cares about the native history and archaeology of Cymru, and not this Norman rubbish that they seemingly protect. We need to now protect our native build castles. This is absolutely spectacular. One of the gems, if not of South Wales, if not of the whole of Wales.